Is a walkthrough for checkpoint 4, and I'm just going to be going through part 3, which is the virtual lab. So in case you got stuck in any part or aren't sure what to do, follow along with this, and hopefully that will help answer some questions. So the first thing you need to do is go to the website that I've linked right here. You will need to make sure that you're allowing Flash to run. If you have trouble with that, just let me know and I can send you some help for that. Make sure once you've clicked this link and you've allowed Flash to run, you'll be selecting Ohio, clicking the green Go button, and then when you get a list of labs to choose from, we're doing the carbon transfer through Snail's lab. All right, so the first part is we're going to get a little familiar with what is in the lab. So I'm going to go to the lab here. They've introduced the problem. So you're going to need to use this information in this box to help you answer some questions, come up with what kind of question we're trying to answer, what problem we're trying to solve. So that's going to go here in question 1. So I've read through this. I'm going to click the X. The next part is just exploring the lab. So you're going to click on the different pieces of equipment to learn more about it. Again, there are some questions that go with that on your checkpoint document, so kind of check back and forth. There is a list over here of what you'll need to click on before you can continue. So you can either click on the list to highlight it, or you can just click right on it. So as I click on each piece of equipment, I get a little description. Again, you'll need to use that in your checkpoint document. And as I click on the object, you can see it gets checked off over here. So if you're not sure what else you need to click on, you go grow light, what is that? Oh, there it is. Okay. There's that. And the CO2 O2 cycle poster is up here on the wall. Okay. So now that I've clicked on everything, everything's checked off, I can now click on procedure to see what I need to do. So it says open the lab notebook and write a hypothesis. If you go back to your lab document, I'd like you to write a hypothesis down here and then identify your variable, your dependent variable. Now when you click on the lab notebook up here, in the top right corner, it's going to ask you to also put your hypothesis, and you can, as long as you have some kind of writing in these boxes, that's fine. You just need to fill these in order to continue. So I've typed in, whatever my hypothesis was, and then this little arrow up here is blinking, which tells me I can move on to the next step. So I'm going to click that. Now it says to open the lab notebook and design an experiment. I've already given you what you should be setting up your experiment to look like with these data tables here. So I've told you in your first test tube rack, here's what you should have in each tube. Here's your second test tube rack, what you should have in each tube, and then if they should be put under the growth light or the cover. So again, if I go to my lab notebook, it'll open up to experiment. Again, you don't have to actually put your real answers in the website here. Save that for your checkpoint document. It just wants you to fill that in, okay? So I'm just going to make this easier on myself. Do a little copy and paste. Okay. So now that I've filled in all of the boxes here, I'm going to exit out. You can see my little arrow is blinking again. All right, so now we're ready to actually begin the experiment. So we're going to be dragging beakers to our test tube racks, and you will need to use 8 beakers. I'm going to fill those 2 racks up completely. Okay, and then this is our solution of BTB. So as you hold it in front of those test tubes, they get filled up. Okay, and again, we've got our little blinking triangle. Let's click that. And now we're going to add the snails and the plants to our test tube. So again, you want to go back to your checkpoint. Our first tube is going to have no snails and no plant, so that's easy. Tube number 2, 2 snails. And you'll notice tubes 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the same for each rack. So I can do the same thing. So 2 snails, and my snails are right here. So 1 snail, 2 snails, and same thing for test tube number 2 over here. Test tube number 3 gets 2 plants, and the plants are located on that counter back there. And then test tube number 4 gets 2 snails and 2 plants. 1, 2, and then 2 plants. And if for some reason you, put things in the wrong place, you can always clear the tubes down here and start over if you need to. Okay. Now again, they want you to open the lab notebook and record your prediction. So I have to click on that lab notebook, and it's going to ask me to put in my predicted colors. So again, you can put your real predictions in here, that's fine. Or if you just want to put some sample text, that's fine as well. Okay, we have our blinking arrow. Let's click that. Now we have to add the stoppers to the tubes. So down here, add stoppers, and then it says to either put them under the grow light or put them under the cover. So if you look, the first test tube rack, we want to put that in the grow light. This over here is the grow light. So I'm going to drag that there to the grow light. The second one needs to go in the cover, which should, maybe this one goes, there we go, sorry. That might have been where you ran into trouble. So put one in the cover and then the second one under the grow light. All right, now that we have added the stoppers, we've put them in the correct conditions, we can hit start. And they're going to be left for 24 hours, the fastest 24 hours. All right, and now we're going to see what happens. So we're going to click our arrow, and now we can compare. Okay, so remember, this is the rack that was under the cover. This is the one that was in the grow light. So in your checkpoint document, after you had predicted your colors, you're going to put in what result you had and to see how those match up. After that, it's just a matter of answering a few questions for your conclusions and thinking about what those all mean. So if you have any questions on this, let me know. Again, make sure you're always filling in that lab notebook on the lab in the website, just so it'll let you move on to the next phase. But I hope you enjoy this. If you like, there are lots of other labs. If you go back to this link again, there are a number of other labs you're welcome to try out. So check those out if you're interested.